Greetings, my dears. Welcome to another thothtober video. We are wrapping week 3, which is incredible. I can't believe that we've made it this far. We have a new filming location. We are back up in the studio today. And I apologize if there's a little bit more of an echo in here. It's quite emptier than usual. Not that you can tell from all the shit going on behind me, but yeah, so today we're going to be talking about a few questions that you can pull with cards. It's pretty much the same format as every week so far, and then some journaling and discussion questions. So the PDF is in the description as usual, and yeah, we're going to be talking about smell and reflecting on the things that we have experienced this week and gaining some perspective on that. So let's get into it. So for the first part, we have 3 questions that you can pull as many cards as you'd like. So this time, instead of like pulling one card, you can kind of pull and sort of elucidate the answer as much as you feel is necessary for you. The first question is, what scent or scents am I emitting as I move through my days? So kind of what is the pervasive quality of your presence right now? In terms of aroma and scent. And the second question, oh yes, also you can pull as many cards as you want. So if you want it to be sort of one amalgamation of the scent, you can choose one card, or if you want to think about like, delineating that a little bit more and kind of getting a little clarity on different scents that you're kind of combining at once, that's a cool way to go about it. And yeah, for that one I pulled 2 cards, so as many as you'd like. I think 2 or 3 is probably really good if you want to go that route. And the second question is, what kinds of memories am I creating via this aromatic profile? And in parentheses we have for myself, for others. So what kind of memories am I creating for myself, for others via this aromatic profile? So we're just looking at the scents that you're emitting as you're going about your days, kind of what are you putting out into the world, and what kind of memories does that create? So we're, going back to the connection between scent and memory and thinking about what memories are created by this emission that you're putting out. And you can think about that for yourself. So you can pull a card like memories that I'm creating for myself, memories that I'm creating for others, sort of like what are other people receiving by me and how is that going to potentially stick with them in a more long-term way. And which I really love. I think that is probably my favorite question because I think it's super cool to think about. I think aroma can be a really like fleeting thing. Like almost I can think about like someone passing you and you get like a whiff of something, or even just whiffs in general. The fact that you can get a whiff of something is really cool. But, these whiffs can have long-lasting impacts. The scent in your life can really carry for a long period of time, as we've seen this week. So I really like that question. And lastly, as far as this first half, the 3 questions for cards, the third question is, what is the aroma of my intention? So coming back to the intention and gaining and expanding the perspective on the intention that we've learned and had so far, I really, really like this one. I think it's a little bit discreet, maybe. I think it's a really interesting way to look at the intention. For me, maybe it's just the week, but I think it's been very interesting. So I think this one has the potential to take you in a direction, especially as you're combining the different insights that you've gained throughout the weeks about your intention and how you see it unfolding. I think that's a really potentially very elucidating, as I keep saying, elucidating question. And so for journaling and discussion, just kind of, no cards needed, but you can, as always, use the cards as you'd like. But these are meant to be like more so going inward and asking yourself apart from the cards for the most part. The first question is, how has it felt to explore smell with the thoth? So yeah, reflecting on the week, how has it been to explore this sense of smell using the thoth tarot? have there been any revelations? Has it been difficult in any way? Was it really easy? Was it bright? Was it, what was it like? And the next question is, how would I describe the aromatic profile of the Thoth Tarot? This one was really cool. I find that one super cool. I always like to point out which questions are kind of my favorite. I think this one and the next one are kind of my favorite. And the next one is, how might I be uniquely receptive to the aromatic profile of the Thoth? This question comes from the idea that like there are certain scents that some of us can smell and others can't. A famous example is like the asparagus pea thing. It's like if you eat asparagus and you pee. I don't know why I'm getting silly over that, but anyway, if someone eats asparagus and they pee, it's not that some people produce a scent and some people don't. It's that some people can perceive the scent and some people can't. And then there's also things like certain people perceive a certain like scent differently. Like some people think, can't think of an example, but some people think it smells like this and some people think it smells like that. And that's just obviously the variability of scent, but also specifically when it comes to like receptors. Anyway, so how might I be uniquely receptive to the aromatic profile of the Thoth? So, thinking about yourself and what about yourself makes you receptive to the Thoth as you've just described it. So you just described the aromatic profile. What about you is uniquely able to receive those scents or that aroma? And lastly, what has been the dearest memory I've made with the Thoth deck so far? Yeah. I guess you could substitute dearest for something else. But, I love the word dear, but the question is just, what has been the most sort of precious, important, specific memory that's kind of potentially going to stick with you? Who knows? But so far, yeah, what has been the most memorable thing that has happened in your thothtober experience and journey? So yeah, that's all of the questions. Would love to know your experience with it. And if you're going to stick around for my experience, I'll see you in a second. And if not, I will see you later. Alrighty, folks, let me tell you, it's been a whirlwind. As you know, you can probably tell my energy is better, different than the last two videos. I'm a little bit more back to being myself. As you may have read in the previous description or on the Discord, it's been a very, very intense week for me. And like I said, I wasn't really sure if this had to do with scent specifically, but because I've decided to look at this entire thothtober experience as contextualized within the time period that I'm doing it, which is October 2024, and what happens in October 2024 has some sort of inherent connection, I think, and that's the way that I've decided to look at it. So yeah, scent has been a lot, but we'll get to that when it talks about how I feel about exploring smell with the Thoth Tarot. But so for the first question, like I said, I pulled two cards. What scents am I emitting as I move through my days? I got the 10 of Wands and the Moon. Let me just grab them here. Oops, sorry. I've got the 10 of Wands. You may recognize this sweet dear card, or both of these cards from previous readings. The Moon just seems to keep coming up and coming up, which is very cool. So yeah, this is apparently the scents that I am emitting as I move through my days. I think the first thing that comes to mind is, yeah, I'm very overwhelmed. Very overwhelmed this week and very much dealing with a lot. The Moon card, like I talked about, I forget which video. I wrote it down. Did I not write it down? It was part of I think it was part of my vision week, but anyway, I can't remember. Once I start recording, my brain goes to mush. But yeah, I talked about the sort of difficulty and danger that comes with oh yes, it was my sense of sight. Yeah, it's what my guide told me about my sense of sight. Yeah, so I was definitely dealing with that, keeping in constant touch with the voice of my heart, and light and darkness and illusion, but also especially the initiatory aspect of the Moon and how it is a, quote, entryway into a higher consciousness, and how this is sort of, my guide pretty much told me that it's kind of my orientation of viewing life. And right now, somehow, funnily enough, Right now is it's the emission that I'm the scent, the aromas that I am emitting right now. But what I realized and what I'm sort of emitting with the suppression card is that it is a difficult path. It is a heavy path. It's not meant to be easy, and the journey of the moon is incredibly special, really. I think I really got to, as this card was not only where my journey begins, what my guide told me about my sense of sight, here it is as the scent that I'm emitting. So it's clearly something that's very important to me. And like I said, it's my card of the year. And my birthday is coming in like a month, literally, like exactly, almost. And so it's just incredible to see that I am sort of where I'm meant to be, and these things are happening and culminating right now. Anyway, to put it simply, specifically within the context of right now, I'm emitting this dense energy. What I wrote was that something really incredible happens when we take that route, the route of the moon, the path that is on the card here. Something really incredible happens when we take that route. Some things can only be found through the dark and winding path of the moon. The path of initiation is like no other. That I'm in a place of releasing the heaviness, the oppression, repression, suppression that this card talked about. And it was specifically with reference to the history behind my intention. So it's an affirmation that I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Like I said, I'm sorry, I'm twisting over my words. But yeah, I'm currently emitting the energy, the dense energies of these things. And what I really loved about, connecting this back to my other readings and the other things that have happened so far was going into the book and then seeing it contextually within the time frame of right now, which is that, quote, there are some things you have always wanted to say to certain people. What are those things and who are those people? You can, for the time being, just for yourself, express those things right now. And I wasn't sure as, the week went on how to address what was going on and how to even be like, hey guys, thothtober is being weird and the video's coming, I promise. I can't film, but I'm trying to film. And like I said, I wasn't sure how to even say anything or what to even describe what was even happening. But like I said, you can kind of see that my energy is a little bit, back up. And I feel like I really do want to just briefly discuss what happened. I did. I had the opportunity to say things that I've always wanted to say to certain people. And I guess this, once again, is going into how has it felt to explore smell with a thoth, was this connection to memory presented itself. I had the opportunity to have conversations that referenced things that occurred decades ago, or I should say almost 2 decades ago, and tell my story, to express myself, to say things that I've always wanted to say, and talk about density, talk about initiation, talk about a dark path. But as I go back to this moon card showing up, or as I go back to this 10 of Wands showing up as the history behind my intention, which my intention was to prove myself worthy. And the history behind my intention was about repression and fear of judgment and sort of altering myself and repressing. We come back around to this card. And in the book, Tarot Mirror of the Soul, it says, one of the suggestions is to pull another card about what will life be like when you free yourself. So I pulled a card and I got the 6 of discs, and that is the card of success. And there's so much there, like I said before, and like I'm going to say, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but this is it. Somehow this is it. And like I said on Discord, it feels like this is the crux of Thothtober. This is why personally I'm doing it right now. And like I said, the contextual aspect of it occurring now, it was meant to be for me. I don't know how else to put that, but I don't know if any of that even made sense. Who knows? But the second question, what kinds of memories am I creating for myself and others via this aromatic profile? And I was so excited, humbled, and just ecstatic to have received the Knight of Discs. If you watched my video on, my opening ritual and the cards that I chose, the Knight of Discs was one of the major cards that I had picked as sticking out to me. And I called that entire thing subtle power, subtle strength. And I talked about how I felt like I had never seen this card before. Like, I was shocked that I felt like I was seeing the card for the first time. And I don't know, I think moving forward, this is probably going to be like one of my favorite Thoth cards, probably forever. But what I got originally was Seeds of Abundance. Those like little orbs, which orbs are a big thing. I love orbs. I just love circles. I love globes. I love globular things. But anyway, Seeds of Abundance, powerful ingredients of lasting change is what I was receiving. Memories of myself. So I was creating memories of myself, for myself and for others, of being in a grounded yet floating, abundant self, like this memory of self-possession. And that's what I felt during this time, and what I feel like is going to live on in the memory of me and those that I've spoken to and had conversations about this entire thing. And one of the keywords for this card is unshakable. Yeah. I'm going to put the text of this entry on the screen, but I just want to point out some of the main points from it that I just kind of copied into my response, because I felt like there was no way to sort of describe what I was receiving from this memory that was so accurate to my experience without just quoting it. So the process of blooming and pollination, symbolized by the many different flowers. When I said seeds of abundance and powerful ingredients of lasting change, that's kind of what I saw. So it was beautiful to see blooming and pollination, especially with, like I said, the florals on the card. Like I felt like I had never seen it before. Like all of the flowers, all of the, like there were just so many details that I felt, and this was kind of the main card from that original ritual that felt like, wow. Now this is, yeah, like I said, subtle power, subtle shifts, like emanation and radiation, and not in the sense of like bad radiation, but like radiating. There was this radiating sense. But anyway, even the pollination sticks out, as well as the blooming there. Pollination, something, oh, it's so juicy. Quote, the richness of the harvest which will follow fertilization and growth. So then you have this sort of abundance that comes from the fertilizing and the growth that occurs. So the process and the result, which, yes, I am creating the memories of the process and result of being unshakable. Sorry, I've got timers and stuff that I can't turn off. Then it says, the bull draws the chariot with unfailing will. Those words, unfailing will. I remember saying something to my friend, and I can't even remember exactly what I said, but the energy of it was like, I'd rather wrestle forever with the light than succumb to the dark. And there was this, there's this sense of unfailing will there that I know about myself and I value about myself, but there's something about, the spiral nature of life that you get to sort of uncover things on different levels through different experiences that I really found super special from this time specifically. And another quote was, it is particularly in the most important and serious situations that he proves again and again that he is unshakable and possesses prudence and perseverance. And when I was younger, I had a mentor that said to me, because I didn't, and I still don't, well, not actually, that's not true. I was going to say, I didn't have a middle name growing up. I never had a middle name for most of my life. And so she said, your middle name is Perseverance. And honestly, it's kind of like a curse. It feels like, I don't want to be Perseverance. I want to be like Excitement. Middle name Excitement. Middle name Happiness. Middle name Richness. Not middle name Perseverance, but anyway. It stuck with me because I was like, you see me. Girl, you see me. Yes, I am persevering. I do persevere. Prudence, though, is something that I never thought I had, but now I know I do have it. I've seen where prudence shows up in my life. Let's put it that way. Openness combined with qualities of the bull. Meditative, it comes to a deep understanding of the meaning of life, like through these experiences. So the memories that I'm creating, if you can't tell, is incredibly powerful. And like I said, this is probably going to be a card that's going to stick with me, which is perfect for the idea of memory that I'm creating. The aroma of my intention. I don't even want to talk too much about this one, honestly, because it's something else, and I'm still making sense of it. But I got 3 cards for this. Jumpers. The other ones I kind of chose how many cards I was going to get, but I got 3 jumpers. First card, the 9 of Swords. Second card, the 5 of Wands. And third card, the 7 of Swords. So we've got cruelty, strife, and futility. Great, thanks. That is the aroma of my intention. With the 9 of Swords, I was like, the aroma of this intention, it's foul. It's gone bad. It's kind of gross. Like, ew. Throw it away. Like, it's past its time. And with this, it's like, it's heavy. It's time to put it down, you know? Like, I always think of, like, how it talks about this wand in the center is like lead. It weighs down. And then you have this futility, which is like unnecessary. You didn't even need it. You got it, you know, get your receipt and return it type of thing. So that was really interesting to start with. But I decided to then, okay, I decided to look at the other side of the coin and see, okay, well, sure, we could toss it out. You know, that seems to be the message here. But what, you know, let me try to look at it from another perspective. If I look at it without that view or lens, what would I get from it if I was to say that it was necessary or it did do something for me? What would be the aroma of the 9 of Swords, 5 of Wands, and 7 of Swords for my intention? And I got this sort of sense that it was about sort of releasing the grip of the anxiety of the 9 and the 7 and those attachments like in the 5, like proving to myself that I can end those cycles. Like with the 9 and even with the 5 and this, like with these numbers of 9, 5, and 7, it's just like the 9 of ending the cycles, the 5 of getting through the difficulty, and the 7 of learning, you know, experiencing this very important thing that I could prove to myself that I could end these cycles of being weighed down by, whether it be self-judgment, of fear, of hiding, of indecision, of limiting beliefs, which are showing up in these cards. Like all of them having in common this sense of like fear and this like lack of clarity. And so I felt like it was releasing the grip and proving to myself that I could end these cycles, that I could move through them and past them, move through the fear and gain clarity and, you know, clear these negative energies that I'm experiencing. So my intention sort of holds that aroma of proving something to myself. But going back to what I just said of it's not necessary, throw it away. It's like you didn't really need to, but I guess because you felt like you needed to, then you needed to type of thing. Does that make sense? So yeah, it's a very interesting aroma. It's almost like something that doesn't smell good, but it like kind of smells good to you type. Like it kind of like has this like sick, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it, but very, very interesting experience there. Yeah. And like I talked about with moving on to the journaling discussion questions, how has it felt to explore smell with a thoth? It's been intense. It's been interrupted and intercepted by life experiences, but also contextualized within them. I felt like part of it and some part of me is still just like, is it even smell specifically? But it is, because there's this connection to memory. And that's exactly what came forward, was lots of memory and discussions about the past and things like that. So it was kind of perfect, like wildly so. I don't even know what to make of that. Definitely going to be sitting. It was memorable. How was it felt? It's been memorable. It's been unforgettable. Perfect, right? How would I describe the aromatic profile of the Thoth? I kind of went down the line of like perfume and fragrance and like cologne type of thing. It's like surprising, like just when you feel like you've like kind of captured the scent. This is not specific scent, so like the aromatic profile, I'm like kind of talking about not the aromas within it, but the feeling of it, which is that like just when you think you've sort of captured the scent and you feel like you've sort of bathed in it, you get it, it's all around you. Just when that happens, I feel like there's a new scent that presents itself. It's like fragrances, how they have like top notes, middle notes, and bottom notes, like that kind of thing. It feels like there's layers to it, and you're never sort of done understanding the complexity of it. And for that also brings me to tea, of course. And I've thought about it throughout. I didn't write it in my notes, which is why I hadn't said it previously, but the tea comes up a lot, like I was saying with like the something that you kind of don't like the smell of, but you like the smell of it kind of thing. It's like how tea, it will like, yeah, it'll have like this scent, like, well, for ones that like fermented teas, like pu'er tea, will have like this like dank smell to it, but you kind of like it kind of thing. And I'm sure there's other like food and drink like connoisseurs and aficionados who will understand what I mean by that, like that acquired scent thing. But yeah, there's this aspect of tea as well, that it's like there's so many notes to get out of it. Like you could keep going and going the more you experience the aroma through your scent. I mean, like the more you smell it, but even when you taste it, which we haven't gotten to yet, but you know, smell is a big part of taste as well. And so there's often more notes that come up that are from what you're tasting. Like there's endless possibility for what scents will come forward, and it's always surprising you too, because as the tea ages, it changes. So no cup of tea is ever the same, and I love that. It's such an exploration of like transience and impermanence, which I love. But some of the words that I thought of as well, like for the aromas that I was getting from the Thoth, is like this freshness. It always feels fresh, like that surprising aspect. It's like crisp. There's a crispiness, but also freshness in the sense of like I think of the crispiness of snow, like I talked about a couple weeks ago with one of the like the crunch 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 and the Ace of Swords, of like stepping on snow, but also the freshness of like freshly washed clothes, like the feeling of being clean and warm and something like that. But also like the depth, like I talked about with the tea, and the dankness of like of it being like soil, like kind of like that dirt, maybe not basement. I guess like I'm not a fan of basement, but hey, you know, that like aged in like in a dungeon somewhere. I don't know, aged in a basement, and clay and leather and these kinds of things, like that depth there of the soil and of things below, like that unconscious, that undergroundness. And then also floral, like this sort of perfumey freshness, but also transience in that way, where it's like flowers they have a very, I don't think we think about it, like I think we imagine flowers smell better than they do, which is really interesting. Like not all flowers are as, like they have a perfumey smell, but it's not in the ways that we extract the scent, if that makes sense. Like in real life, they're very weird. They smell very weird, at least to me. Maybe weird is not the best word or the most, expansive word to use, but it's the one that comes to mind. But I did think of magnolia for some reason, so that's saying something. Anyway, how might I be uniquely receptive to the aromatic profile of the Thoth? I did want to pull a card for this one specifically because I did want a little bit more detail on what I was coming forth. And honestly, after all of this, I was getting a little bit tired of thinking. So I wanted a little bit of support from the deck. And I pulled the Princess of Swords. Here she is. I love her. I got my reading of the princesses that I made last year, that I love so much. And yeah, I picked it, but for myself, I felt like there's this feeling of like, I'm a sensual, curious person. So for everything that I just described about the scent of the Thoth, like I'm gonna explore those scents. Like I'm going to immerse myself in them, and I'm going to be curious about them. I'm going to want to find out more. So even as surprising as it is, I'm going to sort of be on my feet about it and immerse myself, as I said. And I said, like, I'll continue. Like, I'll go toe to toe with its shifting nature, which I think thothtober is very great example of that. But what I read when I was, coming back again to, Gerd Ziegler explaining this in Tarot Mirror of the Soul, I felt this feeling of like, I will catalyze the sense. Like I will sort of bring them to be, like I will push and get those scents to come out. Just like, I don't know, her intensity, I love her so much. But like, test them, investigate them. I'm thinking about like the Page of Swords. Like I'm gonna dissertation them, like I'm gonna take an intellectual pursuit. I'm gonna think about them. I'm going to, philosophize about them. But also what it said, the quote of like, she's not intimidated by the established or the sanctified, that really resonated with me as well, because, she's tearing down the altar and, the smoke is in the air and, she's doing something new, which for me came back to that, like testing, investigating, and like destroying and like allowing new scents to come forward with the rubble and the ash and all that. But not being intimidated by the established or the sanctified, which, I decided with the Thoth Tarot that I wasn't going to be intimidated by its depth. I wasn't going to be like, well, I need to go about it in a certain way because this is the type of deck that it is, or whatever the case may be. Like, it's not too esoteric for me. It's not too blank for me. And I'm just going to approach it however I want to do it, kind of thing. Like, I'm not intimidated by whatever it is, and insert any descriptors or established ideas about it here. But yeah, I really liked that. And what has been the dearest memory I've made with a Thoth deck so far? Like I said, that Prince of Discs, and the Moon. I think the cards that I got in this reading, and that come back to cards that I've recently had or had previously, the Moon and the Ten of Wands, but ultimately this guy here, this guy right here, he's my most dearest memory so far, because he is the memory that I've made. And I feel like it's this whole week, this whole week, and I'm interested to see if that holds up. Like, are there going to be memories that not supersede, but are they going to get larger and larger? Like I said, I haven't, I found it really interesting so far how much the depth has been steady. I felt like I had a huge drop off this week. I will say the depth was like, it was going and it was going, and then it was like, whew. It was like when you're, oh my gosh, I'm just giving Mariana Trench, which is like, I don't know, the deepest part of the ocean in the world. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I feel like that's what I remember it to be. But anyway, it felt like it's like that drop off, like when you're swimming and it's like getting deeper and deeper, and then whew, the deep end. But anyway, why was I saying that? But yeah, I'm interested to see if any memories will become even bigger. But I feel like this is it, and thank you. I'm almost at, if I can say that. But anyway, that's my experience. I hope that made sense. Like I said, my communication has been very strange this week. Like I said, interrupted. And so it's been a little bit hard to express myself verbally in this context and try to give something that's like, clear and to the point. And so I hope, things made sense. And I hope you're enjoying thothtober. Let me know your experiences. PDFs in the description, Discord's in the description, playlists in the description. And if you watched all the way to the end of this video, I know I've asked this before, but I find it really interesting to see, like, if you've watched it, and if you could put an emoji in the description, if you could put, as I've done before, a flower or even a globe, any sort of circular thing in the description for my guy here, even a bull, maybe some kind of something, an emoji of some sort, to just let me know that you've watched. Obviously it helps with engagement in the algorithm, but it also just lets me know so that I can see you and I can know that you were here when we rounded out the journey, or when we reach this milestone of the journey, let's put it that way. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I love you dearly. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.